Alrighty. Not a good start there. Welcome. Good morning, and welcome to today's Monday show. That's right, we have a whole week of trading ahead of us, and I think we need to be aware of where we could end up by the end of the week, or maybe even the middle of the week, right? Looking at our weekly expect moves for the SPY, 612.55 to the upside. We got 588.99 to the downside. That 590 still proving to be a pretty important level. We do notice that the daily expected moves pretty good, pretty big range there for the daily expected moves. 606.12 to the upside, 595.42 to the downside. So as of right now, that 30-minute could be crossing up, and we might see this thing try to tag something like 606 today. So we'll be paying attention. If you needed the correct levels for the Qs at this moment, well, then the weekly expected moves would be 536.18 to the upside and 509.66 to the downside. For the daily expected moves, as we are seeing that head in the upward direction, a test of something like 528.75 for the day would be good. 517.09 to the downside. This is our 68% zone for the day, so only a 32% chance to see something a little crazier. As of right now, we're opening the day inside of it, so the first thing we'll pay attention to is if this can continue, maybe react off the 5, end up in the upward direction, or is it some kind of trap, as we do see the dollar still increasing at this moment. So just be aware of those type of things happening. We're over on the SPY right now. We're going to put this in the background so you guys can see. Hopefully my mic is working. Okay, we forgot to check this morning. That was going to be scary. But the big deal here is if you really look over at volatility, this will be a good hint. I mean, volatility is still in a positive trend, right? Can this curl up? If that curls up, we would assume that volatility is going to see one more upward move, which means maybe the SPY sees one more downward move, okay? So we'll be paying attention to it. Sitting, waiting, hoping that everything turns out okay. If we just pay attention to the signals, make sure to manage our position sizing and risk. Very good. How'd everyone like the Super Bowl? I'm sure some people in here are like, God, I want to talk about it. But I didn't even watch the Super Bowl, if I'm being honest. What was the one that was interesting? I think Tesla was a pretty interesting one, giving us the 30-minute divergence. About to tag our 357.78 this morning. If it does tag that, it would still be able to confirm the divergence, so that's not lost yet. We're going to pay attention if that's violated here or violated on the RSI. For now, I wonder if we get some kind of bounce from this. If this is able to curl up, that would be something to react to. Then we can see a 2-hour bounce. All right, this 2 hours pretty beat up. We're going to that 357.78, pretty much the gap fill. Interesting look from Tesla, like it could get some kind of 2-hour bounce. Very interesting look, though. Meta still doing meta things, still remaining at higher levels, not able to see that breakdown just yet. But this was more weakness here than in the past, so we'll see if this is able to turn down at some point. I think it was GME seeing some good positivity to start off the morning. That's pretty good. Right now, you really just want to see that 2-hour take back the 5. You want something different, right? We kept losing the 5. We talked about this a little bit over the weekend. I know, I was like, yeah, I'm going to take some time off to hang with the girls for my birthday, or for her birthday, and then I was just like, oh crap, now I got things to talk about. So yeah, we really struggled to take back the 5 every time you see one of these attempts. So this would be different if we're able to carve out something, right? Now, if you want the correct levels for GME, we have them over on Patreon. We're going to update the top side level right now. For GME, 2639. So that's the level you have to break through to see something crazy. And look where that lines up to. Oh man, we like that. That looks pretty juicy. I kind of digging that. All right, and then we have AMC. Let's give you that level as well. 349, so 350 going to be the important level there. Not too much change. The GME one's pretty exciting. If you can get through that, that would be awesome. We'll have to see throughout the day. Right now, I think we'll mainly be paying attention to the direction of the SPY. Not trying to look around too much. I really want to figure out which way this market really wants to go at the end of all this week. It's like the end of last week, we got this sell-off which said, hey, we're breaking down. So I would assume at some point we'll hit lower prices. Even if we want to remain bullish, I'd rather us do these type of action and then end the week here rather than see something like this and then end the week all the way over here. If we can hold up, I guess that's good too. We'll see. Yeah, Pablo, that's kind of what I'm feeling at this point. I'm mainly thinking like, okay, yeah, the first move's up, right? The first move's up means almost nothing, okay? So the first move up is just like, okay, well, we had the divergence. We're starting to get oversold. Or not really oversold, I'm sorry, but we're starting to get down by that center line is what I more meant here. And then if that curls up, hey, we can still see positivity. But it's just if that fails at any point, lower levels would be likely, right? You kind of tried to carve out this higher low right here. You kind of see that throughout. They're very tight, but you can kind of see this one right here, almost this one right here, I would say. Then you have a bunch of little micro ones, but then this one attempted to be, and it failed. So now you have the attempt to be like, okay, we reject from where we broke down from. We reject from that area, and then we turn back down for another move. So you could be seeing something like this at the end of it all. But we'll see, because all this has to do is show a very positive move, and then we could also start to see something crazy. Like, it's not off the table at this point. But at this moment, you'd just be like, okay, well, if this is going to behave to where by the end of the week we're set up to maybe go up, well, then we'd probably like to see that lower and then rebound back up, right? Set a downside trap. If you head to the upside, you have the opportunity to be like, okay, this might be an upward trap. So we'll be paying attention to both directions. I think you have very high likelihood to see the rip around kind of behavior continue for this one more week. You have a lot of things coming up, and let's talk about some of those things. We got 9 minutes left. Let's talk about some things going on this week. So we do have Fed Chair Jerome Powell testimony at 9 a.m. For me, that's Central Time tomorrow. And then you'll go down and you'll be like, okay, we get the core inflation right? We get CPI and those things. And then, wait, right after that, we're going to get more testimony from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Now, the thing about these testimonies, I've actually been watching a lot of these with the new administration coming in. I've been watching a lot of these when they're attacking either side, and these have been some very interesting testimonies. So I would highly consider like even reviewing that or reviewing highlights of it, something like that, because I think it would be good to watch. I don't think we'll be able to like watch the whole thing together, but I do think that they will grill a little bit more now. It seems people are getting grilled harder at this point, expected to actually answer questions. Thursday, we're going to get the PPI and some more jobless claims. People are paying attention to those. And then retail sales come out on Friday. So you have a lot going on. Retail sales supposed to come down as well. PPI is supposed to potentially tick up there. And the core inflation rate is supposed to tick up as well. So there's a lot of interesting things happening. But we can still just pay attention to the price action, see that we're heading in the upward direction. If that 30-minute curls up, we're likely to go to a daily expected move. The other thing I wanted to pay attention to for this week were some key levels as of right now. If we would get extremely bullish, well, 620 is a big level. After that, you can see nothing really comes close besides 590. So to the upside, 620, to the downside, 590. And that's pretty much what I'm going to be paying attention to for this week. And as you see, which one, let's just do this. Which one of those numbers is within the weekly expected move, right? This is thinking critically. Well, I have one of those numbers, 620, the bullish one, that is all the way up at 620. That is outside of the weekly expected move. 590 is right here. 590 is within the weekly expected move. So which one can I critically think about and say, hey, which one do I think is more likely to tag based on my weekly expected moves? This is a critical thinking moment. Are you guys sticking with me? Yeah, I'm sorry you guys missed me on Friday. 590, yes, Chris, exactly. So 590 actually lays in the higher percentage zone. So I'm going to be more so leaning towards a tag of 590. Do you understand the critical thinking that's going on there? Do you understand? It's just like, hey, well, these are two important lines. Let's see if one of those important lines goes in between my weekly expected moves. And I think that's a very good thing to pay attention to. I think it can add some credibility to you are more likely to see 590, I think, than 620. this week. Right? That's just trying to put some points together to give me a little hint, right? I'm always looking. You're like a detective. Like, I just need to find that little bit that gives me the hint. That might be the hint right there. And Dubs is just like, I'm paying attention to volatility, and if that thing's pulling back on the 30-minute and it crosses up, ooh, we might see some big upside. Look at the daily. That thing might curl up if we see one more upward move. That might not be pretty. These testimonies have been going pretty wild. And what do we see? Jerome Powell has a testimony this week, so. What's the percentage of successful hit rates? Usually you'll make a move within, it kind of depends, but a lot of the time it's more like a zone. I would almost create like, okay, so like say 612, I'd almost create like a little 50-cent zone or something and be like, okay, here, okay, that's where I'm likely to tag, right? Because nothing's like straight on the dot a lot of the time, but the percentages are 75% of the time you are going to tag one side of the weekly expected move every single week. So that means this week and next week and the week after that, every single time I have a 75% chance to tag one of these moves. So it's usually about at the least 3 times throughout the month that you're going to tag these moves. At least when it comes to the SPY and the Qs. So that's why when you see a week where it gets tagged, it's like those are the best weeks to actually take trades, right? If I'm not hitting those in any way, that's fine. But if I'm going to hit those and then I turn back up and I see the swing, I go, that's a pretty safe thing now, right? And then we'd be targeting maybe next week's weekly expected move. But yes, they get tagged about 75% of the time. Doesn't mean both. It means one of these will get tagged 75% of the time. Very, very good. Very, very good. It's always good to know a little bit more about it. All right, we got 4 minutes to the open. Morning legends, Laz says. Laz. But as SH33, I'm glad that was a curious question. That's actually a pretty good thing to know, right? It's kind of a good thing to know. So is a double dip on the table? I think so. I think especially since we're seeing an upward move first, and we just showed how 590 is probably the more important level for the week. Unless you see an absolute squeeze, I would say you're more so going to see the double dip moment at this point. Now, if the 30-minute curls up, we can't really say that that's the most likely because your indicator's blatantly turned against you. But if that 30-minute rotates back down, I'm really thinking that we're going to see some kind of trap in one direction to start off the week, see an opposite trap maybe 2 days into the week, and then see this thing end in the upward direction by the end of the week. I think that all could happen this week. But I'll see what the signals say, and then that's how I actually trade. Meta, yeah, Meta's still going. Like I said, going to be a difficult one, so Meta's still the hard one. NVIDIA trying to see more upside. Well, ooh, it just came back, actually. Damn. But we'll see. We'll check it in a second and two. I just want to see how this open reacts in the first like few minutes here. So just N2, mention it in a moment, okay? Like give me, give us like 5 minutes to watch the first 5-minute reaction to the open. Not a pullback down, exactly. See how those things can remain. Technically the saying is what? Markets can remain irrational for longer than you can stay solvent. That's kind of the short squeeze, don't short a short squeeze thing. I think it's bound to come eventually, but it's just when is eventually, right? Eventually is not a hard number, so you have to be like, okay, maybe if I take something here, I'd want to extend the timeout. I'd want to wait for the proper time. I think now is the proper time, but it's just how long is it still going to take? That's the thing. It's just like, because I've seen those things leak out for another 2-3 weeks from now. I've seen those things leak out for only another day from now. It's just, when's that going to happen? So if I wanted to do something, I might even be taking like a 2-month option or a month and a half. And I think Meta has pretty decently priced options, so I'd have to look at that. I'd probably have to up my limit. I can tell you that most likely puts her pretty cheap actually on Meta. Because you could probably take a like 660 or something. Alrighty, let's see what's gonna go on this morning. Opening up at higher levels. Alrighty. Alright, no curl up just yet. We're trying to do it on the RSI, trying to do it with the price action. This is why we're just watching. Because now you're above these levels, so you retest in here, that's fine. Yeah, watching the VIX. I might put that up on this one. Just to see if we ever get that reaction. There we go. You see how we can buy some time here, though, so we'll see. Ready? I think everyone's doing good. I think everyone's pretty easy. I think we're seeing things correctly. I think everyone's probably had a good weekend, so I think everyone's probably got a good toot about them. That's always good. And now we just got to execute. Let's execute some stuff, right? Let's really figure out which way this is ending up. Right now, that trend move to the upside, okay, awesome. Positive trend can continue. If that also just continues, nothing really bad to happen there. Nothing really to do. If we would fail this, I think it sells us a lot more. What are we waiting for? Well, we're really waiting to see, like, are we going to extend this overall move and see an upside move, taking out divergence that could be created, right? Taking out these highs? Or are we just going to see some kind of lackluster move that fails, and then we turn down and try to test 590? Because as of right now, if this is curled up, it would be pointing directly towards a weekly expected move. So we'd want to see that turn back down to really prove to us, like, hey, this isn't the move. Hey, nice job, Doves. I didn't even watch the game, but my wife pulled up the score and she was like, oh, Chiefs are getting slaughtered, so my best friend's probably super happy. Whenever the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, he like watches it by himself with his Eagles shoes and his Eagles sweatpants, with his Eagles jersey and his Eagles hat, with his Eagles mug. I'm like, Jesus. Little opening position intraday. Yeah, Laws, I mean, you can look at Meta and just be like, okay, see, that's the stock that's really telling me, like, what the heck is going to go on here. It's kind of Meta and Amazon. It's like Amazon's getting a snapback. It could get a snapback, but it's really broken down with those divergences. So it's like, what is Amazon saying? What is Meta saying? And then NVIDIA and stuff, they can reject at any time in these areas. This can reject any time. So if I have a weekly expected move, I'm really utilizing that this week for something like NVIDIA as far as take profit. GME still seeing a nice upward move. That is fantastic. This is exactly what we want to see, right? We were like, we need to take back the 5-day moving average. We probably need to see a good move here, though. Palantir is dumping at the open with 30-minute divergence, so don't think that that has to stop right now. Looks like 2-hour pullback for Palantir looks very likely in this area now. I don't know, that could just, you know, keep doing what Meta did, right? But that could also be, hey, where's my weekly expected move? We give out weekly expected moves for Palantir on Patreon if you guys want to get that link down there. And if you head down to that area and say, okay, we're likely to bounce. Okay, well, do we make this? You know, do we make this? Well, what's the more likely thing here? Well, because we had, you know, you guys taking that course and stuff, well, you can see that this is really high up. There's no divergence. So let's see. Well, there is some like slight on the RSI, but I'm not too worried about that. I want to mainly pay attention to continuation. And then if something like this would set up, that's probably the next trap. So this would be a pretty good pullback, most likely about to happen here for Palantir, but I don't think it will last very long. I don't think that lasts very long. And this 30-minute, yeah, it's close enough to the center line. I just think that there's still some room there. You haven't even lost the 5. 2-hour pullback looks likely, though. All right, I will be back in 2 minutes here. I got to just use the restroom real quick. And we're back. Yeah, the 5-day is pretty nice, Brian, isn't it? It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have on there. It could just help you with that direction. It's more just like, it kind of helps you realize like, okay, what do things look like here? Because if things look like there's 5-minute divergence here, we can experience a bounce, right? It's like, it just gives you a little trail thing in the middle to be like, okay, what could happen here? There's no reversal signals this time and something bad happens, right? So you can look at the positioning of the MACD. We can see 5-minute divergence there. We see it cross down, right? So 5-day can help out a lot as far as like direction day to day, I think. Like, but you notice it's very nice. It's like having another tick. It's having another check mark. If I have 5-minute divergence to the downside here, well, that's one thing. If I have 5-minute divergence here, right next to the 5, that's a different thing. Like there's more data to go off of. Yeah, let's look at those cues here. You want to see the weekly expected moves and stuff like that? There you go. Q still ending up as of now in the upward direction. Same with the SPY, but the SPY's kind of given up some of that move. Yeah, so you got 536.18 to the upside for the weekly expected move, top side move. You have 509.66 for the downside move for the weekly. Pretty big range at 528.75 to the upside and 517.09 to the downside. So pretty good size range there. Perhaps, hopefully you can pause the video here if you need to get those numbers still. But I think the SPY is really what I want to be watching at this moment. We're still paying attention to volatility as well. Whenever that thing can cross up, you're seeing that with the price action right now, but I think they would want to set a little bit more of a trap this morning. We'll see what goes on with the put call ratios in a moment. Let's also look at, okay, HIG producing a bounce. That's a good thing. XLU, trying to produce a bounce, not able to hold it. And then I'm going to go look at Nail to give us a hint on home builders trying to bounce as well. Little 2-hour divergence for home builders. Very interesting for home builders, at least on Nail. We got to see if it pops up on HGX. Yeah, HGX is the actual housing sector. Nail has some decay in it. JP Morgan. We were paying attention to JP Morgan a lot the past few weeks, actually. 30-minute downward move. This isn't like the scariest thing. I think you could see something a little bit worse, like go down and fill this gap, right? But still very positive move. We just want to check the other ones though. 2-hour divergence here. So that 30-minute doesn't have to hold up, but you just want to see if that's reacting up because it means, hey, maybe this 2-hour crosses, you see one more upward move and your timing might be a little bit better later on. That's all I would say about JP Morgan, especially with options. You have a very clear, actually, 2-hour divergence, and I just want to see. And it held that divergence point. That's very good. So this is all very good. This means that JP Morgan could be crossing down on the daily soon. I would say within the next week or two. I think you're going to see that. I would say maybe even by the end of this week. Because of the 30-minute signal, because of the 2-hour signal, I think the only thing that could extend this longer is if the 30-minute gets a few more moves like this, and then by the end of the week, we might be starting to cross down. So that's all I'd be saying about JP Morgan, but very, very clean 2-hour divergence, very clean. I really like that look. Yeah, that is, thank you for pointing that out. That's a smooth one. We like it. I think Tesla's not in the scare. I think Tesla's already testing in the scary levels. But see how you're wiping out the divergence. So this is the problem. Like Tesla can drop further. You just do not want to lose all of this bundle in here. I would say if you don't fill this gap and bounce, 320 is kind of like probably a line in the sand zone, right? Probably that 320. You start to lose that gap fill. Then you just add more risk to losing the low at 310.50. Then you're just like, okay, where are we going? Are we going all the way back to the retest of 270? 270 would be the next level to pay attention to if you lose this chunk. It's a problem. It's a big problem for Tesla. They got problems. Like Meta's going up again. It had a Super Bowl commercial, I think. Microsoft with that reaction up, remember that the 30-minute, I mean, obviously 30-minute divergence, but the 2-hour divergence, the rejection or the hourly was I think what we were mentioning over the weekend, the hourly divergence, if that could produce, it's producing on the RSI, it's producing in the price action. We just got to see that extend to really confirm that MACD. But if I'm taking back the 5 and I'm seeing 2 forms of confirmation, that's 3 reasons, right? So I actually kind of like this look. It means to me we could see some kind of little move to try to test like 425 or something, but I'd mainly be looking at my weekly expected moves for an upside tag from Microsoft, right? With this kind of look, I'm going, okay, where's that topside weekly expected move? If this confirms, okay, we get there, and then maybe we back off to retest, so this would be a great take profit. That's how my mind likes to think of these types of setups. What else we got? 5% move from SMCI. SMCI did have the, I believe it was on the 30-minute, just very extended across. Now we're seeing a bunch of divergence to the upside, but it keeps violating, which is kind of nice. And then this really looked flaggy. You do have the 2-hour divergence as well, saying the daily should confirm up. You have the daily that's pretty much going, hey, this is, that could just be a retracement overall, right? A bigger retracement, longer, I would say more complex, but it's able to curl up with the 2-hour divergence, and now you're blowing past all these areas. Weirdly enough, for SMCI, this is potentially a level you want to stop at here and get that retest to go higher. I actually think that would be a good thing. Is the 2 hour, yeah, 2 hours way up there. I think you want to do this for a little bit of time, then see that curl right back up. Earnings around the corner, be careful. Is that the 12th? That's in a couple of days. Oof, that's a be careful. 50-50 flips on those earnings, boys. Oof, oof. No gracias. You look at shop. Well, if there's earnings, you already know the game, right? If there's earnings, I mean, if there's earnings, then this could go either way. What are things telling you? They're telling you overall, I mean, overall, this looks like maybe a cup and handle that has formed divergences, yes. But you just want to be like, okay, know that it's earnings. You probably have daily divergence here as well. So everything's telling you weakness here. Yeah, you have daily divergence formed. So everything's saying weakness is here. Just the daily hasn't confirmed that down yet. But just because that says that right now, it's like, it's earnings. They could say one good thing and the stock still goes up. So if I have to take a play with it, I'm managing the amount that I'm willing to put behind it and realizing that I'm playing a very difficult game. It has the forms of weakness, but that really does not matter around earnings time. I like when things are showing on daily charts. I think that's better. But still, I've seen it on daily charts and I've seen it go wrong. Especially if it's a bearish direction. Like, there's a very bullish market overall still, right? It's still ending up going higher every year. So if that's the case, then if I see an earnings setup that looks kind of like bearish, I might be a little bit more hesitant than if it's like Apple looking very bullish, Nvidia looking very bullish, like a reversal setup, more like bullish. Wonder if GME holds Bitcoin. I mean, yeah, I guess they could do the MSTR strategy. I kind of hope they don't. Unless they know about a shift that we potentially do not know about. For the fun with a tiny position, but you have to know it's trading. It's just pure gambling. So as long as you know that, it's fine. Exactly, Laws. As long as you know, like, you can do whatever with earnings and let the signals convince you to do whatever you want to do, but at the end of the day, I still see it as a 50-50 flip. So I can do all the convincing in the world that I want to with Shopify, but I can easily be wrong because it's just a flip of the coin in my opinion. BBAI, that's right, you wanted to look at this. A lot of people have been looking at this lately. Big Bear. That's a 30-minute divergence. That means 2-hour pullback is very likely now for BBAI. And a lot of the time, we want to see if this thing can swing back up. That's if it can hold up better. If it's going to go all the way to where it really should go, it might go down sub $5 for a moment. I think tagging in these areas would be a very good thing. So I think just below $5, maybe towards even $4 would be a great area to get to. It still holds you within all this. And then you see that big 2-hour pullback, and you see if that next move can happen. A lot of the time with these type of ones, you'll actually see a lower high. So we'll see if that's going to happen. But as of right now, 30-minute divergence suggesting at least suggesting that this is likely, if not a bigger 2-hour pullback. Meta might actually go negative. Holy crap. Oh my goodness. Will the 30-minute be able to break the 5-day moving average? Probably not. We'll see. TLT. Yeah, TLT. Well, we'll actually see. That looks like it's just retesting the 5. Yeah, I think a pullback here for the yields would be nice. Maybe even a lower low here for the yields. People might get excited about that. The dollar's heading still in the upward direction, though. Interesting. We're gonna have to pull out the monocle. Try to look into this stuff, huh? Nvidia breaking out. Nvidia, I think, is in trouble for a weird pullback now. But remember, Nvidia, this is the interesting thing about Nvidia, is like, if it gets through all of this, I think it squeezes. Like, I genuinely do. Maybe you get like one retest in it, but I think it does. I think people were very bearish after these moments. But the problem is you can find rejection anywhere in here, and I'd be convinced that you can find rejection. As of right now, 135. You know, we can pay attention to weekly expected moves and things like that. So a little bit higher up than this. What is going on here? Ecuador. Hey, my wife's from Ecuador. Why are they trending? I don't know this much Spanish. I have to ask my wife. I know enough to read a little bit, but I don't know that much. Oh my goodness. Anyway, yeah, so NVIDIA, I think it's an interesting one, but if you really look at it, you're like, okay, well, the weekly expected move isn't up here, right? It's somewhere in here, so very unlikely to be just a straight shot, right, early on in the week. No, we'd probably see a pullback and then end the week up higher. They have earnings next week. So we'll be watching. This is all we gotta watch for now, really. Is there no translate thing on here? Come on now. I'm white. Gotta sneeze. What's interesting are the Qs holding up pretty damn well. Going up to the daily expected move already, though. Kind of a problem. Yeah, laws pretty much. Every dip, yeah. Lil AR-15 is just like, no, I'm buying every dip on Meta. It's just every single time it ends up turning up. I mean, yeah, it's just if it turns up, I can take Meta. That's kind of all it is. But Meta shouldn't see anything like too wild this week, honestly. If Meta goes down, it's like, you know, 700, 680 probably. Like, that's probably about it. Let me just click on some stuff here. Like Meta, very likely, like if you look at weekly expected moves and monthly expected moves, they're pretty close to each other this week. So it'd be interesting if Meta saw like some kind of rapid upward move. Seems unlikely, but anything can happen with that bad boy. It just keeps turning up on the 30-minute. Then we'll see. How do you feel about this morning open? Safer to re-enter market after Wednesday? I think you have a lot of volatility that's coming this week. You not only have big data, you have Jerome Powell testimonies. I just think it's too much for this week to go just ultimately smoothly. What you're looking for, again, which is sad to say, because really I thought last week we would get some of that. But I guess by the end of the week, we kind of got that like fake out direction from Friday that says, hey, downside's likely. I think 590 is very likely for a downside test. But I think it's another week where we have so much going on that really Friday might be the best day to make a decision, weirdly enough. Or if you see something on Wednesday, or if you see something on Thursday, like a downward expected move gets tagged on a Wednesday, and we still have those data drops coming out, that's more what I'd be paying attention to. And then I'd be looking for if reversal signals confirm after data. Tesla will go green by the end of the week, maybe? I mean, I don't have any signals that would suggest that unless this 30-minute buys back like right now. It needs to buy back in like 5 minutes, but we are in the area where a bounce is very likely. Like you are very overbought or oversold at this point. You're starting to get oversold on the 2-hour. I mean, this is a great level to get a reaction from. Just with no reversal signals, it would take a very big random reaction. So I think you're looking for, can this flag out, give you a reversal signal in here? This would be like Tesla's a great opportunity if it sets up that, because you're in a great liquidity area. You're at a cheaper price. Meta and some things are overpriced right now, I would say. Like if you just look at price overall and look at what's pulled back. So I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world for Tesla. I just think it might need some more time, which is perfectly fine. If it could, keep this 30-minute divergence, I'd be happier with it, but it's lost it. Hopefully Tesla's a good opportunity. That thing's beat up, so I would love for a Tesla drop. Tesla, a little pop, then drop, then pop again. I think that'd be fine. And it would be nice and confusing. Apple's like, I'm gonna try this again. Microsoft kind of failing it. AMC trying, GME trying, man. GME doing not a bad job either. I think gold was interesting to me. I can't, like, we keep seeing this too. The dollar gets a reaction up, gold gets that reaction up. It's kind of wild. Hey, FFIE is up 10%. You go, girly, go. Oil with a nice little 2-hour base. 4-hour base maybe coming in. Yeah, there's a 4-hour base too. Oil might have found itself a bottom. You guys want to check that out real quick? Let's see, where is my oil? There it is. Look at this. There's a bunch of little 2-hour divergences down there, but I really like this 4-hour so far. It's not bad. It's a little extended. It's a little far away from that center line. And it keeps like confirming and confirming, but now you've really, I think, solidified that base, taken back the 5. I think this means that dailies could start turning up for oil here. And that's just a retest, really, of the breakout area, if you want to call it that. Yeah, breakout area right in here. So this means the daily could turn up. That would be very interesting. So they're going to make him probably talk about tariffs, is what I think. I think we're going to get a little tariff scare maybe from Jerome Powell. Like they just have to ask him what will, they want Trump to look bad. So this is the opportunity to ask about something that people are fearful of. And I think that's tariffs, obviously. And then we just go, okay, well, will tariffs increase the price of goods? And he'll potentially answer yes, right? He'll be like, yes, it will increase the price of goods drastically, right? He could say something like that. That could shake people. S-Bucks, let's look at it, Justin. Let's see what's going on with this guy. Thank you for donating. The daily chart looks like it needs a pullback at some point, but you're moving sideways pretty nicely here. So I'm interested to see if this looks, yeah, it does. It looks just like Meta. So this is a big problem for this because this could really pull back at any moment now. This looks like it might be walking off the edge for a daily pullback. You're looking at the 30-minute, you're seeing that divergence really close to the center line. So this would be a great signal to be following. And then you have a very good, easy, like, manage of risk, right? You see the obvious top right here, and you go, okay, if that crosses down, which it is right now on the RSI, it is in the price action, we'll see if that can actually lose the 5 and cross this MACD. But you see very obvious divergence there above you. So it'd be like this. Tight stop, see if that drops, make sure it doesn't just do this and turn back up, right? Because this one's kind of, up there, and you want to see if that's just going to keep squeezing. You want to have that tight stop, but just in case that turns down, you're like, okay, cool, 30-minute divergence, awesome. 2-hour divergence is there as well, so we could see a daily pullback. This could be a pretty good drop for Starbucks, maybe all the way to 102.50. Yeah, Laws. I think the human aspect of Jerome Powell, you have to take that into consideration. I don't think him and Trump necessarily like each other, right? And I'm just saying that, based on how they've talked to each other before, and he will be forced to potentially ask or answer more high-end questions, right? Like, the reason that he is there is to talk about how things could react to tariffs. So this is the right environment for him to actually talk about it. Where's little AR-15's pretty happy with this, I'm sure, then. GME started to cook a little bit, man. Look at that thing. And look, you're at the tightest level right now. 20 to, what is it, 26.39? $26.39, got to break through that. IWM, I mean, I haven't updated the levels for it. I would just say it's in a similar boat. You're still looking for, can this curl up, right? Because you're really looking for this still, right? So we're just waiting to see, is it going to do it right away? Is it going to do this first, right? And then we're going to curl up, or is it going to fail? And that's what we got to be watching here. The 2 hours turned down, so right now you would say, hey, this could potentially be failing, right? You need to see things turn back up to be convinced, like, hey, yeah, this is a head and shoulders at this moment. Yeah, you're just curled down. You haven't confirmed up at all. So is it a waste of time? As of right now, if I'm trying to take a bullish trade, maybe, right? Maybe it's a waste of time right now. It just got rejected again from the 5. So if I'm not seeing things curl up, then maybe it's a waste of time for me at this point. It might not be by the end of the day. I think tariff reaction, if they are solidifying a tariff or a tariff deal has come out and we are tariffing in any way, I think people could read into that as inflationary. I think that could cause that disruption. People will hear tariff. Tariff is not a thing that they really want to hear because there's too much, is it actually going to work? How much is it going to raise prices? That kind of thing. And we kind of explained that over the weekend a little bit, right? We were looking into just a little bit of like tariffs and how I look into them. And I go, well, I don't see them as long-term inflationary things, right? We see them as an initial inflationary thing, but that's why we use the drastic, like 25%. Let's say we tariff bread. I don't know, just something random. Bread. and that bread is $1. Well, if I tariff by 25%, well, technically the price of that bread might go up to $1.25. And then at that point, at $1.25, though, am I piling on another tariff? How would it get more expensive than that? Well, then it would just be solely based on supply and demand. But it's not something that will increase over time. That $1.25 technically won't get higher prices because of the tariff. It could get higher prices because of something else, but it won't be solely based on the tariff at that point. Does that, I hope that makes sense. Like, you're not tariffing the same item exponentially. You're tariffing it once, which means the inflation could be caused quickly. It could stick for a couple of months maybe as the markets react, right? A few months. But I don't see it as something that would cause inflation to continue. The main reason inflation continues or continues to go up is because of government spending. Government spending accounts for almost 50% of inflationary pressures. Bread goes up, you buy less milk. I feel like I don't eat a lot of bread. Like, at least not here at the house. But we'll see how it plays out. It's like, that's how I'm reading into it. I don't want people to think like, oh, I'm just going to be right about macroeconomics every single time. I'm just like, I'm pointing out what I would see. And if you have a different take, I would love to hear it. You know, that's how I am. I like to hear other people's opinions on stuff. I don't just say like, oh, I'm right always. All right, SPY starting to go in that upward direction just a little bit there. What the heck is GME doing? I'm gonna have to keep GME up on my other screen or something. What the heck is this guy doing? 2650. Go up to 675. No, tariffs will cause inflation. Tariffs can cause inflation. And the tariffs cause inflation if we don't make the product here ourselves, right? So that's why bread might not be the best example, but yeah, tariffs will cause inflation if we don't make the product ourselves, right? If we can't stimulate that demand ourselves and make up for that potential increase of the extra supply, that's all it would be. Right, so tariff should cause inflation if we do not make the product at home. Right, so like cars, different cars could be inflated. Like say China cars get tariffs on them. It's like, okay, China cars might get more expensive, but Fords should remain the same. Is it normal to be up this much on the tariff news? I mean, I would say that this is very normal behavior as of right now. This doesn't have to be based on anything other than regular market behavior. You have a test of the 5-day. You have 5-minute divergence down here, suggesting that bounces. We saw the opposite signal from volatility right here, the same opposite signal. So that means that the 30-minute going up to a daily expected move today is very likely. Right, I don't take those kinds of plays. I don't take very likely, common sense plays very often. I'm more so yes, let me track this and track this and track this and then find the good signal that's going to produce the good big move that I don't have to sell maybe all the contracts, but I can maybe, see a move that helps me hold on to some runners. I'm someone who likes to sell a lot of their position when it is looking good and green and I can break even or make money out of it, and then I leave the runners to actually make a good profit there. But the way that the market's been moving lately, it's like I've been able to make money on the first sell every time, which is very nice. QQQ is tagging daily, but the SPY hasn't yet. Okay, so we need to pay attention to two things here. One, do the Qs extend, or is this the resistance right now? So this means we could be hitting resistance right now, or the SPY could still be saying, hey, we have more room, so the Qs can maybe exceed that high. What if the SPY makes a lower high, and the Qs make a higher one and make a divergence? So Qs, we're gonna be watching for a little 30-minute divergence here now. The SPY, we're gonna be seeing if that can get all the way to that daily expected move. Amazon pumping. Well, it's getting a snapback reaction. It's still very deep in negative territory. This is potentially even just dead cat while it goes up and maybe retests breakout area or breakdown area. We'll see if it can fully turn around. It just has to do it on bigger time frames, so I'm not going to pay attention to it right now. But maybe by end of day, we'll see a 2-hour trying to curl up. No, I would never put myself into any kind of mainstream media. If anything, I've been, telling my wife, I was like, I'm really enjoying this. I think people want good financial data and things like that. I've been trying to vet some people secretly on my other YouTube. I've been trying to vet some people in their live shows and things like that to see if they'd be potentially a decent fit to maybe put a team together and actually make like a daily, almost like show, where like each person has a segment. So that's what I was like, yeah, but that might take me 5 to 10 years to fully put together. I would be a commentator. I just wouldn't be a contributor on a mainstream on like a mainstream media. Added some AMD calls expiring Friday. Just a small position. just a little guy. All right, get up there. Get to that daily expected move, then we can talk about some stuff. IWM is a little bit late to the party, but once that curls up, you could say, hey, upside, but just be aware that can still reject. It did reject from those areas. Tesla, nice little turnaround potential here. We'll see. It's just things are very different. It's almost like you got to go individual name. Meta trying to hold up. That's good. No big fall down yet for that guy. FIU is interesting. What's cost doing since GME's running? Up just a little bit there, so nothing too crazy. You'd expect if it's seeing a great run. I think I see his name live in the morning. Like, I think he does like a pre-market thing, which I think is fine. I mean, if I did that, I'd be able to focus a little more on just the trades, but I think the morning is fine to overall just discuss things, and then if something happens, you can react, but I think a lot of the time you're waiting till the end of the day or towards the end of the day. Normally, that's when I like to make decisions overall. Like, I'll take some stuff in the morning or take starter positions maybe in the morning, but by the afternoon, I'm looking for the actual confirmations. A little bit heavier volume. He'd be nice to connect with. It's just, for me, it's just I have to get bigger before I can encourage people to team up together, so. We're going higher Friday. JPOW is going to be... You said we're going higher Friday? Well, does he mean higher for this type of move or what? I mean, he's kind of right to say, if you're above 600, you're pretty safe. I think if you're above 600, you're pretty safe. So if you get any curl ups here, you can always take out those highs and go make new ones. You're positive, like positive territory is right there for you. It's just we have a little bit of an edge with the daily expected move. So the fact that we're ending up early on up just worries me that we could end the day down, right? We'd almost want to see this go up, fail, then turn back up by the end of the day, right? That would be better, and then you can extend on Tuesday, and then maybe set a trap for Tuesday, Wednesday. So we're still watching this because I think this would be a great trap, but we're also watching for the more likely thing, which I think is something like this. I think something like that seems more likely to me. But once again, both of us are probably just like paying attention to price action, right? I think price action is the most important thing right now. I think you cannot ignore like what is actually happening in your chart. Like, what is happening here? Well, this might make a little move like this right now. That's pretty much all the hints that we have are just saying a little move like this could happen. Then from there, it's like, where's the trap going to be? Is this already going to be it? Well, the dollar is heading up. That's suggesting we could potentially see some sellers come in. Volatility starting to work out of those overextended, I would say, conditions. Not even that overbought. So this could start to turn up right now. It's right by that center line, still positive. PayPal just going to be flashed. It was a deal week for what reason? So Congress can show us exactly. It depends on if he's actually going to ask questions about tariffs. I think they're going to ask a lot of tariff questions. Hey, is the inflation actually subsiding? If tariffs weren't included, would inflation be subsiding? I think they want to, as far as one side of the aisle, I think they really want to pin egg prices. They're going to talk about eggs. I guarantee you eggs get brought up. And I think so, Chris. I think that's what I'm kind of leaning towards at this moment. It's due in 50 minutes. This tanked the market last Friday. That's true. Consumer sentiment is low. Why is consumer sentiment low? Well, it's consumer inflation expectations, but consumer sentiment was low because of the tariffs. Like people were talking about this constantly. They were like, tariffs. People are really afraid of tariffs, I think. Consumer inflation expectations most likely will come in higher. And thank you for pointing it out. It comes out at 10 a.m. this morning. It's not necessarily a big highlighted one, but it might be on people's radar for today. All right, so if they're expecting the tariffs to cause inflation and that's why their sentiment is bad, then I would assume the consumer inflation expectation actually goes up here. But that's all assumption, right? We got to see what number actually produces. I think Palantir you got to be a little bit more worried about. Marcus, I think Palantir, you have to be like, okay, there's 30-minute divergence. Okay, the 2-hour really needs to pull back. So do I think it's over for Palantir? I think if it keeps curling up on a 30-minute, it's going to keep going. I don't think that this one might be easier than something like Meta right now, though. This is where the first time is where I do like to try it the first time because you just saw that rapid move up. If this needs to retrace that right now, this is one that I would be interested in because a 2-hour pullback to here or even just to here, you can still make money on, right? So I'm paying attention to that. I'm paying attention if we want to go fill this gap. That is possible. You can go all the way down to fill. You can go retest these levels. I think it's more likely you're going to see something like $100 and then see that turn back up. That's what I see as the most likely thing at this moment. If we start to go down to these levels and see a bad bounce, like, yeah, then we probably head down. So we'll see. But I just think Palantir is a little bit more risky at this point for a long play. It doesn't mean it can't work out, right? 30-minute crosses up, you're probably going to see higher prices. But I'm more worried about the 2-hour, or the 2-hour pullback. Puts on eggs. Right now it's hard to technicals because of all the news, but any thoughts on AMD? Well, as far as it goes with news, it's fine. I just want to make sure. Right now we're in the middle, right? So we're in the middle with news, which means whatever's going on is most likely will continue. So the 30-minute moving higher, it makes sense. We have nothing that encouraged us to drop down besides that little Friday bit. Besides that Friday bit, we're still really close to the center line. If that goes positive, we end up going up. Right? But it's, does that pile on? Does consumer inflation expectations, is that what really turns things down? I mean, you've got GME just continuing to try to push through this level. It's a very good thing. AMC starting to participate a little bit too. These are very cool things that are happening right here in front of you. I assume every single GME AMC streamer is going nuts right now. This is something to go nuts about, though. But you're seeing the resistance come in where? Right where we expect, right? We see this all the time. This time was good. You actually got a big wick outside of it. A lot of the time we've seen it go right up to it and just tag it and drop off. So this is actually pretty strong buying pressure. I actually really like this for GME. This is what you need to happen. Now you need to close the day like up here. You close the day up here, you really invite a gap. And I think Dave, I think you have something to say. I just don't think it's like at this immediate moment. I think you're more likely to see it end up going down first, and then you see that pop up. I think you need people to understand, like, I think Wall Street is trying to be like, go bearish, right? That's what I think will take place. They will do a thing that says like, go bearish, go bearish, go bearish. And right when they accomplish that, they're gonna all switch to the bull side. That's what I think will go on this week. And I think that might take place down towards 590. If I'm proven wrong, that's fine. I won't risk any money unless things are proven in the charts. I like Dave's timeline, though. AMD, though. Looking over at AMD, you're like, okay, we really try to solidify, like, hey, this is a base. We're confirming that now. We're still just below the 5-day, which is a problem. But if that 2-hour turns up, we can see a 2-hour move higher. We held the first divergence point. We just didn't hold it on the MACD, and that's a problem. So this could easily reject. This could easily see a decent move, reject, double dip, then come all the way back up. And that's where Dave's potentially talking about a squeeze. And I think that, you know, semiconductors for the most part kind of bottled up and ready to go. I mean, look over at SMCI. That thing was bottled up and ready to go, and then it gapped down, then it bottled up again and gave you a reverse signal and boom to the upside. So we'll figure it out. We're already just seeing what's in front of us and going, all right, 30 minutes confirming up. It's a good confirmation. So upside, very, very likely. Okay. I actually haven't really looked at PCC, but people getting bullish. I mean, 0.76, I don't think it's like the most bullish they could get, but if that continues into the end of the day, aka if the SPY keeps heading in the upward direction and people keep taking calls, and we still see that dollar kind of staying steady or increasing, I think it's a big problem. So we'll just keep watching this VIX and see if that keeps dropping down. There's one thing I wanted to look at, and that was the JPY. I think that on the weekly was very interesting. And right now you're seeing that not confirm at this moment. So that has not confirmed. Actually came down first just a little bit, holding pretty flat. But is trying to confirm everything this week for the JPY USD. AMC looks all right. I mean, it's starting to see that positivity. Like I said, for same thing for AMC and GME was, I think AMC needs GME to do something to go, and GME's doing something. So that's great. That's fantastic. You love to see it. I know, it really looks like that, doesn't it, Chris? Well, that's good. Yeah, I think for GME, like, I think 60, like anywhere from 50 to 60 makes a lot of sense for a first really good run. I think 50 to 60 sounds really, really likely. If it's going to run, right now it's running, that's good. You saw the gap up, that's great stuff. And we technically made a little 30-minute divergence by the last week's weekly expected move. Very interesting. We like GME in these areas. It's not bad. Now, it doesn't have like everything you need, that's for sure, right? You have a 2-hour that's extremely negative. You have a daily that's negative, right? AMC, you have a daily that's negative. Finally producing a good bar here, though. 2 hours still negative, right? We need those things positive to be really confident, but it doesn't mean they don't have a shot, because that's the price action. That's the type of price action you need to see. You need to see good, solid upside pressure. Just got some puts. YOLO! At least you're calling it out, Ivan. Or sorry, Ivan. I coached a kid. His name was Ivan. Great kid. So it's kind of like what things are hitting weekly expected moves early on in the week. Like if a lot of things are tagging weekly expected moves, okay, we can read into that. But right now we can't read into much, I think. I think you could just see some upside for a little bit here. Then we'll see what happens tomorrow with Jerome Powell is what I'm thinking. All right, let me go look here. I need to update those. I need to update all my lines, man. This is redonk. What did Bitcoin do? Oh, Bitcoin tried to take back that 5-day with the divergence that actually got violated. That's kind of a problem. I think you're inviting another drop, but the 4-hour up by that center line, we'll see what can happen with that. JP Morgan really puking. It's interesting. What other banks are interesting? And what's popping right now? See what happens. We'll see. Let me go look around for a second here. Oh my gosh, people are Jesus, 1 million shares traded in 7 minutes. It's kind of crazy. God, I can't believe these people are literally like calling 597 and stuff. That's just crazy to me. I think it's just because of the Michael Saylor picture at this point. Isn't that wild? I literally think the GME stuff is just because of a picture. Just because of a picture. Oh, Justin, I think we need to look at it, you know? I think it's time. Let's go check on it, buddy. Thanks so much for the 420. Let's go look. Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, this just retest of the 5. Like I said, once you have that 5 there, it's like, okay, 30-minute retest, 2-hour, had divergence, look good. Daily, had divergence, look good. I mean, this is kind of what you want to happen still. I mean, I think you might have wanted to react up more, get up to these levels. Maybe you're going to do that next. Maybe this is the next move, and then you back off and you see this, because it'd just be nice to really solidify, like, yes, we are a head and shoulders. Sorry, react up to here, do something like this, or maybe do this, flag out, turn up. That'd be great. But you got to see stuff confirm up first, right? 2 hours turn down, 30 minutes turn down. So for this to continue, you got to see those little reactions up, but looks pretty decent. I don't think there's anything to be really fearful of here on the 30-minute. You probably had double top. That's probably playing out as of now. See if that 30-minute can curl up, and then we're probably back on the bull side, but just make sure nothing goes wrong, right? It's kind of a wild market right now. Dude, I need like a pimple patch or something. This thing is insane. Well, the cues are just pretty similar, right? The cues are pretty obviously like, hey, this could be a move to head higher, right? That very much so looks like, hey, watch the bull side, watch the bull side. But our daily expected moves, we're already violating that very early on. That's why you almost wanted to see it kind of give that up for a bit and then turn up towards the end of the day. But the fact that you're up like this, you're inviting this to happen, right? You're inviting a divergence to happen if you break through too much. So I'm a little worried about this right now for the Qs. And I think that the Qs we need to pay attention to. If the SPY gets here and rejects, we need to start to see if the Qs are setting up that divergence point. It's like, there's the bull way up. All right, awesome. That's confirming. So if this never confirms back down, there's nothing to be worried about. But if this goes like that and turns right back down by the end of the day, that would be something to be a little bit cautious about. That means we could see a pretty decent sized move down here, and we could end up lower. All right. But it's like, hey, 2 hour confirms back up, things start to confirm back up. Nothing's bearish about it. Just if you need to react, that's what we're talking about, right? We try to talk just one step in the future to just make sure you're understanding. Like we try to talk about like the next thing to watch. Something always goes wrong. Many times. It's just where does it go wrong, right? A lot of the time you're like profitable and then something starts to go wrong. You're like, okay, this is going wrong very early, and then I see the reversal signal set up again. It's like a lot of the times it's that first push that sometimes can fail. All right, we got, let me just double check. That report comes out when? In about 33 minutes. Wanted to see. This came over thing. People are funny. Last 2 Fridays we got smacked. Well, we'll see if we're in a vulnerable position, right? We were talking about how just the buying pressure here looked like it put us in a vulnerable position. And then we found some little things that were turning down. HYG, HGX. HGX was completely rejecting the next upward move from like this point. And so we got to pay attention. If HGX is here, if the housing sector is here and the market's here, that's what we are kind of watching. I like to take it on the first one, Samson. Just so you're aware, like I like to do things on the very first one. That's pretty much my trigger, right? This is green. Okay, well, if this didn't have the gap in it, it probably would look nice. It'd be crossing up down here, and then I could play that daily expected move, right? Keeping it simple. But the 2 hour confirming up would be like, yes, we're gonna head up, but here's the trick, right? So what you're trying to point out is what's the trick? Well, the trick is if when the 2 hour confirms up, you see the 30-minute curl back down, and that 2 hours not necessarily curling back down, that would be kind of like, ooh, this is a risky thing. This is going completely against my calls. So that's all. It could be a potential thing like, oh, something is potentially going wrong. That's all. I don't think it's anything too crazy. GME is going to announce that Bitcoin MicroStrategy was also a failing company until they bought Bitcoin and as here. Yeah, I think that's what everyone's buying into GME for right now. I think that's what a lot of people are expecting. I don't like the strategy, but I'm not going to complain if people want to use it as a reason to buy. I'm like, cool, I want GME to go up. What is GME even doing right now? Looks like it's seeing that resistance at the weekly expected move upside. Nothing yet. I mean, it's doing plenty. It's doing a lot, actually. Is Tesla recovering? This is where we want Tesla to recover, right? Right as we get to 357.78, we really want it to recover. I don't think it has the best reversal signals, but I think you could see a 2 hour move up. You easily could not see that though. Like, I don't think it's like the best reversal signals. I think it's just the first tag at 357.78. It might be one that you look at and you go, okay, over the next, month, does it seem like it would make a price higher than this? Probably. Well, I think Short Fridays, I don't think it's so much about the strategy they decide to do. Well, actually, I guess in this sense it is. The strategy that they have to do has to get people very, very bullish. So I don't think that that's like a bad strategy to get the job done. But I would rather see it as something else, like, because I'm assuming they didn't buy Bitcoin at 110,000 or something like that, right? We would want to see that buy a little sooner. So we know there's like a gain there. If there was a gain there too, then they'd be like, okay, yeah, this is pretty bullish and the MicroStrategy thing can happen. I would rather them just like say what things they're acquiring and things like that. I think that would be a good thing. And everyone's expecting them to acquire like some things that aren't the best. It's like they got a decent amount of cash. They can acquire something pretty good. I think it's a good attempt, though. I think it's a good reason. I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world. Like, I'll still be like, yeah, that can move the stock because people see it as bullish. Customer service told me wait 48 hours and try again. What the fuck? Hold on, and try what's. Yeah, see, that's a problem. I think ultimately, if there's still going to be a consumer-driven business, like a customer business, it needs to, for sure, you need to be clearing up things like customer service, right? Customer service and customer acquisition are two of the most important things, right? How do you get new people? How do you keep the people that are already around? And that actually falls a lot on the service side, right? To keep people around, they usually like good customer service, right? If you want to buy a gift card and GameStop wants to take your money, then they should not have those problems. And I'm saying, like, if they want to be a good business over time, that's what they need to be doing. That's why I'm kind of like okay with them getting rid of a bunch of stores that aren't producing profit. You get rid of that excess stuff. It's just like what what Elon Musk is reading into right now. Like, you guys think that that's some crazy thing. It's like GME's doing the same thing. It's good business. It's good business. You always look at what are we wasting money on first? What can we cut? What can we get rid of? What is the obvious waste that's going on? That's what GME is doing. That's what Elon Musk is doing. Like, these are just good business practice. Before you make a big move, you got to get rid of the trash, and that's just how it is. And you got to get a good team behind you. So I think they're trying to make those moves too. I've seen a lot of like jobs be posted. What is going on here, though? People getting even a little bit more bullish. Like we said, if they get more bullish as we as we hit daily expected moves, I'm a little bit contrarian for the time being. But we do see HYG heading in the upward direction, just like the SPY. We see HGX trying to make some kind of upward move at this moment. XLU even trying to produce some positivity. They're trying. Are they succeeding? No. So we'll still pay attention to reversal signals. They're trying. So I don't think this move is like the worst. I just think it's not perfect enough for me to be like, yes, we're going to go to a topside weekly expected move right now. We go to a topside weekly expected move right now, I'm thinking this might be a massive trap. It's a trap. Look over at some stuff. Let me put this on here too. Watermark that ish. He's still dropping off. That's okay. Oh. Like, if I'm correct, though, people are kind of buying that based on speculation. That's just a speculation buy for GME, just so you're aware. I believe, right? Nobody has confirmed what he's doing yet, right? Nobody can confirm what Ryan Cohen's doing. So that would be all a speculation buy, and that's a pretty damn good speculation buy, I'll say that. Imagine when it's real news, you'll probably see like triple that. Yeah, I don't really watch 1 minute charts for GME, just so you're aware. I think that's where you can confuse yourself. Personally, you know, maybe you have your way of doing it. You know, people are so racist. It's crazy. just openly. What is going on? Oh my goodness. Okay, when is some news drop today? Let's see real quick. Give me 1 second. I kind of want to see if anything's going. No, I can't. I can't be watching. Not yet. All right, so GME is starting to fade off of the weekly expected move as of right now. The level that we really need to break through to see something crazy. We're reacting to a great level. You're getting to that gap resistance. Now you just want to see if that backs off at some point. VIX trying to hold up. Still have some time left there. This one we're going to be watching as well. Let me go look at futures. I don't see anything really to worry about there. We are starting to confirm up. So this is saying positivity is the most likely option. I don't mind Coca-Cola. I really don't. I mean, people have really liked Coca-Cola forever, you know? So I don't think that this is bad. I actually think this is pretty good behavior so far. If you really look, it's kind of a mess. But if you really look, you can see this right here, and you just go, okay, so let me pull that across. And I'd go, oh, okay, cool. So this is probably what I'm looking at. It's still curled up. That's awesome. I'm pretty much just paying attention to if something goes wrong, and I had daily divergence down here very, very steep. So this is a great move so far. And you just want to be like, all right, can I see a 2-hour pullback eventually? Well, if the 2-hour turns down here, that's pretty worrisome. We could probably end up going lower or a retest of this. Overall, I think you're just seeing sideways. So that's what I'd be hoping for, and see if that can gear back up. You're trying to break through right now, so it's kind of just like, make sure this doesn't go wrong, right? We look at the 30-minute, it's pretty overbought. So wouldn't this be okay? Wouldn't something building up to here and then backing off to retest that 5 before it breaks out be a good thing? I think it'd be good. You have that earnings though, 50-50 flip with that. I don't mind Coca-Cola though. And they have a dividend like always, right? Confusing, yeah. Well, Apple's going to be interesting because right now it's trying to confirm up a 30-minute. Right? It's trying to say like, no, this is the higher low. No, this is the higher low. You know, that's what it's kind of trying to do right now. This is where it gets very interesting because it's going to be difficult to short. You don't really have that flowy 30-minute to give you a hint, anything like that. If anything, you're probably like, oh, I hope this 15-minute turns down. Kind of a difficult area. But 30 minutes trying to curl up right now. Not on the best bar, but I think if it takes back the 5, that'd be good. I just don't know if you have that much room. How much volatility is in this thing for this week? Let's see. A pretty sizable amount, actually. Pretty good amount. End up for a test down at the lows. So yeah, I think you're right in saying like I want to. I think this is the right like time, right? You've seen the rejection off the 5. It saw the bounce. Now you're just looking for the signal. I don't think the signal's like the clearest. Looks a little bit more troublesome. Yeah, that bounce can easily fail. We'll see. You're like, yeah, I just want to, but it just doesn't look like 100% the best. Yeah, exactly, Samson. I think that's fine. I think like, oh, I'm paying attention to the indice. If volatility turns up, then Apple most likely turns down, okay. And then just make sure it's proven, make sure it never goes against you. But yeah, I guess that makes sense. I've done that plenty of times. Cash for the rest of the day, bad FOMO thought. Okay, good, Avalon, that's good. I'm glad you caught yourself. That's kind of facts there, Jack Cats. That just might be what you're seeing. Oh, I drank my coffee real early this morning, and I am peeing a lot. All right, let's see. See if we get a hint here. Now, one thing to notice. There are a couple things to notice here. All right, let's look at these other indices. Well, the Dow Jones, it's not really liking that upside. IWM, it's not really liking that upside. They're more hesitant. Very interesting. But the SPY and the Qs, they're like, yeah, let's go to the upside. But the Qs are like, let's friggin' go, dude. So very interesting. All right, if I use the restroom and I come back, I can stay on a little bit longer after that data. So I'll be right back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. I don't know. Maybe it's tariff talk. 10-year dropping off. Dollar could drop off too. Thanks, Oni, for saying that. Oh man, what a weekend. That was a lot. A lot going on. Hey, GME able to push it back up. That's great. Good for you, GME. You do you, baby boo. You get through that little purple line. Make my comment too early, I'm fading. I think I might have made that same mistake. I felt like I needed it earlier, and then I was like, oh crap, I'll just drink water during the, dang it. Just a lot of stuff going on this weekend. A lot. And then I ended up having to, I felt like it was necessary to make a video for you guys on Saturday too. And I tried to make it pretty good on Sunday, so I still ended up like doing YouTube over the weekend when I had other things, but that's okay. I just thought it was important enough to talk about. I don't think anyone's paying attention to the to the JPY USD at all. And I'm just like, man, I think you probably should be. That was a pretty good sell signal. Okay, Brian, let's see. For a little bit. Show some more price action here. We'll see. I just want to see the reaction in 15 minutes. I really want to see that reaction, and then I might check on what some people are chatting about. If I could find. What are these guys talking about? Yeah, we're still heading up. Let's go. Let's see if you would say anything. Nothing. All right, SPY starting to keep heading to the upside. We'll see if this continues. 605, not bad. Weird thing is the call side, I feel like still relatively cheap actually for the calls for today. I wonder what was the markings for today. Oh, well, okay. You had 31,000 puts at 561. So yeah, maybe that's going to keep calls a little bit on the cheaper side. Looks like 605. This is the area where we need to first watch. After that would be 608. Qs. Let me go look at those as well. Let's go check those out. For the day, it looks like 529. For the week, 530 for the week is the biggest call wall. So you're at the biggest call wall very early on in the week. So if you blow past that, ooh, you could see some big things. If you don't, that's a big problem. Big problem. What's happening in 15 minutes? Oh, just a consumer inflation expectation reading. Seeing if they read into that at all. See if anyone reads into that. What are your thoughts on Trump announcing more tariffs soon? I mean, if you want an actual plan for potential to not pay taxes anymore, I mean, tariffs is probably the way to do it. I think people have a bad reaction to it initially, for sure. Oh, I think the reaction is justified. I think they're right. It's going to cause some initial inflation. But it's like, if my annual life increases by say even $5,000 a year, but let's say I'm someone who normally pays $10,000-$20,000 in taxes, but let's say I don't have to pay those anymore, I'm probably going to be pretty happy about that. That's where I think it really lies. That's where I think the success will be. You know, the opportunity to not pay taxes anymore versus the opportunity to just spend that money in the market due to tariffs. And yeah, the prices are a little more expensive, but if my take home is still higher than the increase in spending, it still wouldn't be that bad of a thing in my mind. But it's more just like, we can read into it as much as we want. We can, you know, that's what everyone else is doing. This is all speculation, and people are moving their money based on speculation. We just don't know yet. The only thing we do know is, yeah, tariffs will cause an initial spike in inflation, but it does not sustain. It's transitory. Like, oh man, that's funny. At least not transitory in the way that they were suggesting back when they were calling everything transitory. It's kind of a nice little quiet day. We don't mind a little quiet day every once in a while. We just see direction. We're going okay. We're paying attention to the red lines. We're seeing how this reacts in the price action soon. I don't think it's a bad thing. We can click over to volatility sometime, see if that ever curls up, right, to give us a hint early. I can click around on other stuff to see, oh, okay, the 10-year, it's starting to get a little wick up. All right, nothing too crazy, though, nothing to worry about. Dollar still starting to get close to that center line on a 30. Maybe that's just a retest there. HYG, though, producing a pretty good bounce. HGX trying to follow. Any thoughts on buying the VIX? I mean, I think a lot of people have reasons to hedge right now. That's the only thing I would say so far. This is a week where you get a lot of stuff. So I guarantee you some people are trying to hedge this week. Because there's potential. There's a lot of potential for volatility in both ways. So that's what I would say. I would say some people are probably holding on to long positions while also hedging those positions for the week. So do I think buying the VIX is dumb at all? No, I think people have reasons to do it. For me as a trader, I would just like to see it curl up first, and then I can make a decision, or I can already be building that position. Who knows? Right? I actually had to move a VIX position last week after this moment. I did buy some volatility after this moment right here. I actually got out of it because I was like, I think this is going to bounce, so I need to maybe reposition that. So I'm actually looking to reposition right now with the, I think it was like 30% profit because I scaled in throughout this area. Then it dropped, and then I was like, okay, let me just get out for a sec because I think this is going to bounce. Ended up being right. Now I can see if I can build that second position if we reject from here. So got some patience to do, but I think it'll be very, very quick. I think I'll probably be making a decision pretty quick. And then there's always Meta looking at me, and I'm just like, man, I want to. And I think I had the scale in here, got out with the 30-minute curl up, right? Tried to get back in at the higher prices, maybe at this one right here. And then I just go, okay, if I see this reaction, I'm going to be a little bit worried about the upside because I still have a little bit of a short position on Meta. But it's longer out. That's why I'm like not even mentioning it too much. I'm just like, that one could take time, and I'm fine with that. I did have to put a pretty solid chunk there, though. The options are a little bit more pricey. It's just a higher up price, so it's going to be pricier. Started them now. See, I don't think that's like bad. You just want to make sure nothing's going wrong. Right, what's going wrong would be like 2 hour confirms down. That means it's going wrong, right? Unless that 2 hours confirming down like here and it's not just a straight shot, it's more of like a, oh, it took some time to get there and then it did this and you see a reversal on the 30-minute. No, it's if that 2 hours crossing, which you see that here. You don't see it here, so you don't have a lot of reasons for this 2 hour to be going down yet, like to cross through this low. You don't have a lot of reasons yet. The only reason you might have is the 30-minute going up to the 5 and rejecting, but if that 30-minute makes one more move, that's a higher low, and then we might actually see a bigger move from volatility. And then we have to think, well, what do we have coming out in a few minutes? Well, we have the consumer inflation expectation. What do we have happening tomorrow? Well, we have Jerome Powell talking. We have data throughout the week. It's just there's a lot of risk. And the CPC is still low. Right, we see that the CPC is still pretty damn low, right? We've seen continued reactions down in these areas for a long time. We haven't seen that swing to the put side at all. We haven't seen one of these moments even. We've seen one to the middle, but nothing that really took us to the bear side at all. So I think another drop to get people very bearish. I think these are too many calls. I just do. So I'm a little bit cautious about this move, and that's about it. I'm looking for that 590 tag. Facts, it's just me, maybe. I mean, shoot, I think you gotta say 3,000 target for gold or 300 target for gold potential here. Like gold futures, I think you're looking at that 3,000. Not 300 for GLD. You're looking at that 3,000. I think that would be a great level to get to. This thing is being absurd, which is just crazy because the dollar is at higher levels. Like it's been at higher levels while gold's been going up, so it's kind of just crazy. Oh my goodness. Inflation expectation. Inflation expectation. I don't want to buy volatility soon though. I'm paying attention. I'm really itching. I'm itching for it, man. But I just gotta make sure that things look alright. Looking like too much risk of another drop to me. A lot of news. GME popping off too. It's like, I don't even know how that's going to affect the market, right? That kind of makes me want to look at the JPY. It makes me want to look at the yen carry trade, right? I just blatantly am like, I don't know. This seems a little fishy. Like, GME just happens to be popping while the JPY is about to confirm a huge signal this week. I'm like, oof, I'm going to be watching. I wonder if they've increased the premiums here at all. I don't think they really have. I think you're right. I think another test of 15 would be great. I think this move would be great. I think this would be the best look actually for volatility to come back. This is what I'm saying though. Okay, so if we do this, I'm going to do this chart over here and this one here. Okay, so if we do this, you can kind of see how like if the that would mean that we're getting to here very early on in the week, right? If volatility just drops on the 2-hour and comes down to here and creates that double bottom, that's going to be a problem, and that's why I'm worried about this. That's why I don't really want to see that. That's why I want it to build up over time, right? Or even build up over time and then see that upward move. Because volatility would set up a great sell signal on the 2-hour if we go to higher levels, and if that confirms, I'm very worried about it. Yeah, an increase in money supply, yeah, but spending comes kind of hand in hand with that. Well, it's just because actual like cash, like trading is going on in the SPY, like options is going on in the SPY, and people are more doing futures, I think, for the SPX, but more so the SPX is the actual value, you would say, right? SPX is like more the value. Some people look for those put call walls on SPX too, which is interesting, but I think most people paying attention to 6,100 were pretty happy. Right, you can see pretty obviously 6,100 bad things happen right above there. I'm sure a lot of them are pointing to 6,200 now. So we'll see. SMCI, I think it looks great. I don't think it's like bad. Like, I think it looks fine. I don't think there's a problem here really yet. You're looking for if a problem shows its face, but you're just looking at a 2-hour that curled up. Can that see a positive move is all you're looking at here. Does everything remain good? Does the 30-minute curl down into negative territory here? That would be a reason to be a little bit more worried, but you probably want this to extend higher, right? You want this to gain that room between the 5 and the price action, and then you just want to see that dip down and retest it and be able to curl back up. That's what I think for SoFi. I think it's really simple. I just don't think you want that 30 minutes to curl down now. I think you want it to slowly build up, then see that retest, then take off again. I didn't see Baba today. What happened with Baba? Getting some love or no? Hey, some good stuff there for Baba. Once again, very difficult. This is what like Meta could end up doing. Like you see this is what Meta could end up doing. But nothing really bad going on here for Baba. It looks pretty good. I think a daily pullback will come eventually, but that's the point. It's eventually. It's kind of like don't trade against this really strong trend. It's kind of the same thing for Meta. But Baba, great move. Hitting top Bollinger, you're going to get more of those retests on the way up. If this is going to keep going, it's just going to keep doing this over and over and over again. Just like Meta. DJT, I saw that drop off. Let's go check on Meta. Still good, still just holding. Very, very nice. And then the SPY, as we approach the daily expected move, is what we'll watch here. Some bullishness coming into IWM. I might check that on my other screen real quick. Let's go look. Yeah, there you go. So now you're actually getting confirmation from your 30-minute. That's a good thing. That means, hey, a test of something like 229 again, right? 229 would make a lot of sense. Maybe I could even look at a weekly or make a daily expect. I don't know, something like that. But looks like right above 229, we just want to be a little cautious. We're probably going to see some rip around behavior this week. We'll find out. That's why it's like Friday's the best day to do like the most analysis, I think. Friday's the best day once everything's closed. Actually, it's probably the weekend. The weekend's the best time to really formulate things. You have time, things aren't moving. JPY and that one rising. Well, we can do some simple stuff here, right? We can do this. We can go to a weekly chart. We can show you guys this, why we're paying attention to it. It's like, okay, well, the last time that this turned up, we saw some bad things, right? July 15th, the market threw up pretty heavy there by about, what was it, 9.7% in a matter of 4 weeks or 3 weeks. Okay, so we're going to pay attention to that because it's starting to cross again. And this time it might fully go into that positive trend, right? This might be a bigger move for the JPY. Okay, so we notice that, and then we go over here, and if you want to try to connect it to GME, well then, whenever this thing saw a reaction during its big moment years ago is probably what I'd pay attention to. I'd be like, okay, well, when did this start to happen? When did it actually happen? It started to happen in August 17th of 2020. Okay, so you can go on the JPY and you can look at August 17th of 2020, which is way over here actually. March, April, May, August of 2020. And you saw that thing turning way up, right? You see that thing turning up into positive territory starting in about June, July, August. You're seeing that thing start to scale up. All right, so that's how you kind of connect the dots, right? But what happened after the GME actually saw a big move higher? That was January, say, 11th that really started. So January 11th, you actually saw that at extremely low levels, right? January 11th was when that actually started to flop, right? Am I incorrect on that? There we go. January 11th is where that actually topped and it fell down. It fell down. Now, is that because people were getting out or getting out of positions, getting out? Like, why was this overall happening? So I don't think you could really tie the two together because I think you're at the opposite ends. I think in here, they were like, okay, well, this is more so an area where we're going to double down. I think it actually adds some credibility to they doubled down during this time. And they might have used JPY to do it. And then now you're going to see that scale up. So maybe you see a similar reaction, but you actually see like this thing take off. And that's the kind of potential that I think is going on here. So we'll see, right? But as of right now, looking back on it on the weekly chart, I would say you can't read into it like that too much. That's why I'm more so talking. Notice I'm not bringing up in my videos at night, I'm not bringing up JPY and GME. I'm bringing up the SPY and JPY. Why? Because we have a very easy thing that happened. JPY turned up on the 15th, SPY turned down on the 15th. That's all I'm watching. I'm not comparing this to GME. I'm really not. I'm saying that could be it unfolding. I don't know because it's not the same. So I know that this could see a reaction like this in the market though, and that's what I want to be paying attention to. Right, because if you just did what we did and you look back, you go, well, that doesn't make sense. The JPY turned down and that's when it saw a squeeze, right? That's your initial first thought, probably. But JPY turned down for a long time after that. So I don't know if we can read into it much there. I more want to see it's turning up, and so it could affect the SPY. It has to turn up too, by the way. It's not turning, like, it's not a good confirmation at this moment. You got to see that by Friday. Financials, probably not having fun right now. Probably not having fun. And I think someone's right to point out, like, hey, this could just be rotation. You have 2-hour divergence. That is confirming. That's saying a daily pullback can come. Well, daily's been up there for a bit. You have daily divergence. So this could be really bad for financials. Is this going to just pump the AI chip everything bubble except for financials? Are people going to go out of that and go into those? You know, who knows? But at this point, it's just a bad signal. You have confirmation with price action and the RSI, just not the MACD. So I don't think it looks good. I think it looks really bad. It can still curl up on a 30-minute though. BlackBerry climbing. That actually, I want to pay attention to these little guys. Yeah, it's not violating the first divergence point, so this is kind of a problem actually for BlackBerry. If it starts to turn down here, I think this would be the moment for a 2-hour pullback. But it's not turned down yet, right? These are just things to react to. Nothing really going on there. Yeah, we looked at this a little bit. I mean, overall, it just looks pretty great from the daily standpoint. You want to just pay attention if the 2 hours rolling over right now. 2 hour rolling over now would be bad. If that can hold up in this range and then turn back up, you'd say good, but earnings being there is a 50-50 flip, so we're not going to touch on it too much longer. Yeah, because whatever those signals look like, it's just pretty much based on what this produces. Do I think Coca-Cola is a good thing to hold for a long period of time? Well, it gives a dividend, so I'm immediately going to be like, yeah, I don't think purchasing Coca-Cola at lower levels is like a bad thing because you're going to make dividend money over time, right? This is more investment portfolio looking at that, seeing a daily divergence and going, okay, what's the lows at? Well, it's from the breakout of 2024, the retest of 2024, okay, the stability that was created here that broke out again, and that's what you're testing now. So you're in a great spot where this could see an upward move, and it gives a dividend. So as far as options go, I go, interesting, right? Probably a little bit difficult, but as far as investing goes, it goes, hey, this is potentially an accumulation zone to me, right? That is a solid downward move. You're down pretty damn deep. Okay, awesome. We see the divergence. We have the buy. Okay, awesome. 17% off, and you get to make dividends. Do I think I would throw my whole house at this? Probably not. But I think this would be a fine thing to potentially invest in because it has dividends and things like that. And just understand you're in a positive trend, you're probably going to see pullbacks. I don't think it's bad. I just think earnings is there, so I think options are probably not the move right now. Yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of downside here for the SPY. Not even able to get to the daily expected move. The Qs are outside of it, so we could expect like, hey, this stuff, this is when you want to be aware of pullbacks, like something turning down. Got to be aware the Q is able to turn down now. They're outside of that move. I think we want to look at volatility as well. Oh, that's a weekly. Not a good weekly chart there. Okay. VIX, though. VIX is what we will be watching. See if that can turn up as well. VIX turns up, a lot of this stuff might start to turn down. 10-year yield's starting to find that bottom, too. VIX ticked up, yep. We're gonna fill the gap. I think you're very likely to fill the gap. I don't know about today. I just think you're likely to fill that this week. Data went out at 10 o'clock, so yeah, we can go check on that real quick. The data as of now, consumer inflation expectations, supposed to be at 3.1, came in at 3%. 3%. It did not tick up, which is actually a little surprising, I think, for me. I think it was going to tick up, but nope, nothing. We will see. It's that time of day when the scalping begins. Yeah, right after that. A solid amount of time for retail to place some bets. Still overall, looks like a 0.74 on the PCC, so... Higher TLT, yes, Rother. Higher TLT means lower rates. Lower rates means, potential to easier to borrow money, right? You can borrow money at a lower cost, so lower rates are seen as a good thing to stimulate the economy. But we're in an inflation period where higher rates will potentially weaken the economy because we're trying to fight inflation. So has that worked overall? No. I mean, stocks are still potentially hitting all-time highs again soon, right? So do I think we've actually deflated anything? No, everything's inflated still. But in relation to the SPY, would be the SPY, once the 10-year yield starts to spike up a little bit more dramatically, people start to react to that in a selling kind of way. Why? Because they know that it means slowing in growth. Whenever you have a period where you're purposely slowing the growth, you always have that opportunity to tip you into some kind of recession. And that's why people do that. That's why people really don't like those yields going up, because they read into the future. They go, oh, well, if the yields are higher, then these companies won't be able to take out as big of loans, which means growth will slow down. And then if the rates go too high, then it's like, okay, well, people already with loans could start to fail those positions, could start to have to get out of those positions. Margin calls. But it won't mean that forever, right? It's once recession actually, like, say, hits, people might celebrate the yields coming down quickly right away, right? And be like, we're going to grow now, but then realize, oh, we're cutting the rates dramatically because something broke. And once they know once something's broken, that's why the yields will come down and the market comes down at the same time. They're going to try to worry about recession really, really quickly. All right, guys, I do have to hop off, though. I do thank you for being here today. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for liking, subscribing. I think it was a pretty good stream, a little bit chill. We're just kind of seeing how this thing wants to shape up, seeing where we could take those next positions. So I think we're waiting and being pretty patient for it. I feel like patience has helped us a lot in finding the right moves at the right time, right? The right moves at the right times to get out, at the right times to get out. So we'll be paying attention. We'll be watching this stuff. I think you're still in a scenario where you have a confusing week ahead, so make sure to be managing your risk. And thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for liking, subscribing. I can't say it enough. Thank you for being a part of this community, and I wish you nothing but luck with your trades and some accountability and some execution. Let's not leave it all on luck, all right? Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Peace out. And I have to hop off right away. So thank you guys for liking at the end. I see the hearts. Thank you for liking. I do have to hop off right away. So sorry about that. Have a good one, guys.